and their families to seek redress or justice is greeted with concerted opposition from the police authorities, including threats to their lives. The House therefore resolves: 1. To demand the Inspector General of Police to take decisive action to stop the brutality and human rights violation by SARS and report same to the House within 3 weeks.
Lawmakers in the Green Chambers took turns to bear their minds on what they described as incessant violation of human rights by men of the squad.
Like, what we have done is to shoot ourselves by giving them funds to now fight our people.
As it is now, honorable colleagues, Nigerians cannot breathe. We had a George Floyd situation in the United States of America. But 6 feet down in this country, 6 feet down in this country, are a good number of Nigerians that cannot breathe anymore.
But how long are we going to continue to do this? A young man or woman driving, let's say 10 p.m., he's not afraid of armed robbers. He's afraid whether there's a SARS official lurking in the corner and he's going to double cross him. You won't even know whether the SARS official is an armed robber or not because the way they even look.
Meanwhile, the Speaker said the House will work with the Nigeria Bar Association to draft a legislation that will ensure a system of accountability in the Nigeria Police Force. Charity Tanko, ITV News, Abuja.
In the meantime, the Senate has ordered the arrest and prosecution of personnel of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad who were involved in the recent killings of innocent Nigerians across the country. The upper chamber also asked the Inspector General Police, Mohammed Adamu, to establish a special unit that will constantly investigate and monitor the conduct of SARS operatives. National Assembly correspondent Osawaname Bizugbe has details. Will be brought to you later. And that's the size of the AM News on Independent Television. Thanks for watching. I'm Philip Omo Gupon. TMI continues shortly with Uyi. Good morning.
Independent television, certainly the best.
Welcome to ITV Entertainment Info. It's about time to check out those buzzing news making the rounds. Dorothy of Big Brother Naija lockdown, hospitalized. Davido talks beef with Burna Boy. Negi explains possible breakup with boyfriend. Dorothy, well known to us with the nickname With My Full Chest of the just concluded Big Brother Naija lockdown, was rushed to the hospital on Friday evening in Lagos. This was made known by her sister, Cynthia, who on Twitter had a meltdown as she tweeted, "Rushing her to the hospital in the early hours of today is definitely the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. Pray for my baby to be back on her feet soon." Thank you guys for all the messages. We wish Dorothy a quick recovery. Davido, while explaining the bad blood between himself and Burna Boy, said,
"Now me, are you supposed to run this P now? What is the fight for? Now you're angry that I posted me and Wizkid, right? Abi, that well, not Burna didn't say that. His guy told me. Let me not put words in his mouth. Yeah. His guy told me that. For what now? We're the 3 biggest in the game now, as at now. But do you understand? Burna, you're my like Wizzy too. You're my brother. So I'm like, bro, what are we all doing? One thing I no go do, I no go stand down, no."
While Negi of the Big Brother Naija lockdown show shocked her fans worldwide as she reviews how her supposed boyfriend of 2 years before going to the show no longer picks a call ever since she came out of the house as the second runner-up. Let's not forget, in a hurry, she once said the boyfriend never liked the idea of she going for the Big Brother Naija show. Might also be having a chance now. Time will tell. That's been Entertainment Info on ITV.
Advice to the public on the coronavirus. The World Health Organization, WHO, recommends you take the following measures. Know that most people who become infected experience mild illness and recover, but it can be more severe for others. Take care of your health and protect others by doing the following.
Regularly and thoroughly clean your hands with an alcohol-based hand sanitizer or wash them with soap and water. Washing your hands with soap and water or using alcohol-based hand sanitizer kills viruses that may be on your hands.
Maintain at least 1 meter, which is 3 feet distance between yourself and anyone who is coughing or sneezing.
Hands touch many surfaces and can pick up viruses. Once contaminated, hands can transfer the virus to your eyes, nose, or mouth. From there, the virus can enter your body and can make you sick.
Make sure you and the people around you follow good respiratory hygiene. This means covering your mouth and nose with your bent elbow or tissue when you cough or sneeze. Then dispose of the tissue immediately.
Stay home if you feel unwell. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention and call in advance. Calling in advance will allow your healthcare provider to quickly direct you to the right health facility. If you develop fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical advice promptly, as this may be due to a respiratory infection or other serious condition.
Be informed.
Be prepared.
Be smart.
Be safe.
Be ready to fight COVID-19.
This message is brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
When I was younger, a lot of things were different. Unfortunately, most of the differences I see now are heartbreaking and are not good at all.
Before now, men were strong, protectors of the weak, fathers, brothers, lovers, sons. Their mere presence guaranteed the safety of women and children.
But what do we have now?
Men harassing and raping women.
While abusing little girls. Any form of sexual assault, be it rape or pedophilia, is a killer of human self-esteem.
Women should stop dying in silence. The rapist should be stigmatized, not the victim.
Rape. I don't of that word. I think death sentence should be the consequence of such a terrible act.
And you mothers, build trust and confidence in our children. Believe them when they report and take necessary action.
Talking of mothers, before now, women were virtuous. They were mothers, sisters, lovers and daughters, nurturing, counseling, and supporting their men foes.
But now, women are trafficking female children for money.
Women are stabbing and cutting off the genitals of their men.
All this must stop,
and it must stop now.
Real men don't rape, molest, or abuse women and children. It's inhuman, it's barbaric, it's unacceptable. Let real men stand with us and together say an emphatic no to rape, abuse, and domestic violence.
At the top of the program this morning, I told you we're dedicating it all to discussing teachers and teaching profession in this country. But in the middle of that, shouldn't we also be concerned, or maybe in some cases worried, about our sites? Today is World Sight Day. Increasingly across the world, people are getting more concerned about their sight. So some experts decided to come share with us this morning as to, one, the significance of this day, and then going forward, what it means for people across the world as far as their sight is concerned. I'm joined by two persons in sight this morning. Dr. Valentina Okoegbeme is consultant pediatric ophthalmologist. Thank you for coming to join us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And next to him is Dr. Cyril Obasui, is also a consultant ophthalmologist. Both of them are members of Ophthalmology Society of Nigeria. I want to thank you both for deciding to come share part of your time with us this morning.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to begin with you, Cyril. Give us an insight into the essence of today.
Okay, thank you very much. The being set aside by the International Agency for Prevention of Blindness and the World Health Organization to draw awareness to common causes of preventable blindness. The focus is on blindness that can be prevented and blindness that can be treated so that you get good sight. And the focus is on getting your eyes checked and getting whatever care you need for your eyes had. And then also the focus is on education, getting people to know what the causes of preventable blindness are and the steps available in your locality to get these problems addressed. So for this year, the Edo Optometric Society of Nigeria is focusing on children and preventing blindness in children. You know, children have a long life ahead of them. So the goal is to prevent them from getting blind so they can achieve their potential in life. And it's like using a stone to kill two birds. You prevent a child from going blind today, the child grows up to achieve his potential, the economic state of the country is better. So you have children who see and who achieve their potential and who make the country better in the long run.
Let me talk to Valentina. When people have malaria, for example, or fever, naturally they want to rush to the chemist or pharmacy or to the hospital. But it's not very common for you to find people who want to come see you guys, for instance, just because they think something might be wrong with their eye or to do routine check or something. And then on the other hand, you also have those who are always afraid that every time you want to see or you go to see an ophthalmologist, there's a chance you're going to end up with a pair of glasses.
Well, not necessarily, because like you said, you mentioned malaria. Whatever the treatment that is given to such a person will depend on the problem. Okay. So it's not all eye problems that are treated with glasses. There are some that are treated with drugs. There are some that may even need surgery, depending on what they have. So the essential thing is that we are trying to get people to say there are facilities available for proper, appropriate treatment, adequate treatment for their problems. Just like you mentioned, it is actually what we see. People, instead of coming to an expert in care, health care or eye care, prefer to go to the chemist, prefer to go to the herbalist, they prefer to go to the traditional people to get treatment. But you see now, we now see them coming in with what would have been treated earlier if they had come in at an early stage. So they now come in late and then we now have to battle. But we want to encourage people, come and see your doctor. Come and see the expert, and then you get appropriate treatment.
There are people, I mean, you just mentioned, for example, now those who go to see alternative medicine practitioners, for example. You have people who will tell you real time, I mean, with empirical evidence that they've had results going to see these people over time. What exactly should we know? Because again, poverty appears to be a factor in this kind of conversation. Some persons are not trying to tie poverty to health-seeking culture in this country. Is there a correlation between both?
Oh yes, there is. There is. And not only do we have the problem of like poverty, people they don't have that means to be able to take care of their health needs. We also have the mentality, the beliefs. There is a belief system that is prevalent in our environment, and these beliefs make them realize they feel more at home with people that are closer to them in the community, and so they go there. But I want to say that in as much as they go to these places, the care, how adequate is the care? You understand what I'm saying? And when this care, when they go to these places, we want them to know that you could actually get something better if you come at an earlier stage. Okay, now we are talking of problems in children. You have a child coming in having a white spot in the eye,
which is not normal, I guess.
Which is not normal. And then before they finally get to the hospital, that white spot that represents, that could be cancer of the eye, would have become worse. And then what happens by the time they come is already advanced. So what we are saying is that, please, when you see such a thing, come to the expert.
Okay.
That is what we are saying.
I'm going to get back to you in a bit, but let me talk to Cyril a little more. You look at Nigeria today, for example, we talk about decay in healthcare infrastructure. And of course, the COVID-19 has further exposed that, okay? Do we have systems that encourage people to come seek help when they should? I've seen children, for example, as young as elementary, primary 1, primary 2, 3, for example, wearing glasses with strings strapped around their heads and all that. What does that say about where we are today with sight?
Okay, thank you for that question. You know, wearing glasses actually isn't something that we should be worried about.
Okay.
I've been wearing glasses for over 30 years. It actually is, I always tell people, if you liken your spectacles to like the clothes you wear out, it's for your own good. But then coming down to what your question and relating to what my colleague said about people are more comfortable with people who are closer in the community. That's very true. And so for starting from today, this What Side Is programs, we have planned to visit all primary healthcare centers in Edo State. Primary healthcare centers are those health centers in the villages. So what we are doing is that we've made easy to understand posters. We're going to visit every primary healthcare center, provide these posters to them, and explain to them, and there's a hotline that they can call. This is more like stepping down care from a top-down approach. Because, like you mentioned, the COVID-19 pandemic has exposed the structure of our healthcare system, and it's shown that the tertiary healthcare system may not be able to totally or adequately cater to the teeming health needs of the population. So we want to see if we can involve more the primary healthcare centers. These people are comfortable with primary healthcare center. They know the members of staff of primary healthcare center. So we feel that coming from that angle, they can easily go there, make a complaint, and proper guidance and training. These primary healthcare officials can then call through the hotline and say, we have a problem.
Incidentally, that's the hotline we have on the screen.
Yeah, that's the hotline on the screen. Yeah, we have a problem. We think this may be the problem, and then we can guide that person and then aid early and prompt referral. That's the key. That's the key message. Early and prompt referral. If you're in the big cities, come early. If you're in the villages, go to your primary healthcare center. There's someone who will be able to talk to you and and refer you promptly and early enough.
I need to ask you this quickly. It's more generic than it is specifically for today. When people have issues with their eyes, most times maybe their eyes become red. There's a pretty good chance that off the top of their heads, they're dashing off to a chemist to buy eye drop over the counter, right? Can there ever be an abuse of an eye drop?
Oh yes, there is. There is. It's a prevailing problem that we're also trying to tackle. You know, Nigeria doesn't have a strict prescription-only drugs policy. A lot of drugs can be bought over the counter from the chemists and pharmacists. And I think that's also a reflection of how fragile our health system can be. But unfortunately, most people don't know that just as way you can abuse oral antibiotics, you can also abuse eye drops. A lot of eye drops no longer work because they've been abused. And so that's part of also, so a lot of this boils down to education. Keep telling people, keep educating them that self-medication, especially for eye problems, is not cut and nail. It's not so straightforward. There are a lot of twists and turns, ins and outs that you need to be guided appropriately by an expert.
Now, let's just wrap it up now quickly. When somebody has an issue with their eye, for example, say they now know, for instance, there's real-time evidence there's an issue with their eye, what should be the first step?
Okay, what they should do is that, like my colleague said, we have the hotline there. Call the hotline.
Anytime, not just for today?
Anytime.
Anytime.
It's there.
There's someone manning the hotline.
And what the person will do is to find out which state the person is located, and then let the person know the facilities available that the person can go to.
Closest to
the closest facilities. And then when they get there, they receive the help that they need.
Okay, I think this is a conversation we'll continue to have as we make progress, all right? I was just going to say something. You know, I've seen people who say things like, I can read, so I don't think I have any problem with my eye. I can read the tiniest of letters, I can read small items.
That's a very dangerous
and so on and so forth. So I think in the days and weeks and months and years ahead, we are all going to need this number on the screen so we can continue to have education as far as our site is concerned. I want to thank very especially Dr. Cyril Obasui, consultant ophthalmologist, and Dr. Valentina Okoegbeme, consultant pediatric ophthalmologist, both of them for coming on the program this morning. We do appreciate it. And we hope you have a big one out there today.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We're taking a quick break now. I'll be joined by two gentlemen in the beat, and then we'll start talking about teachers and teaching in Nigeria. Stay with me.
Oga, the truth and nothing but the truth. What do you they call your wife for house?
Honey.
Oga, now, okay, what do your wife they call you?
Honey too now.
What do you test your wife number for your phone?
Honey.
Show me. Oga, the truth and nothing but the truth. Oh. What name you they call your wife for house?
Honey.
My mommy, they call my wife.
Mommy?
Yes.
Now you they call your wife?
Yes.
And your wife, what do they call you?
Daddy.
Mommy, daddy.
Yes.
Where your phone?
My wife.
My wife.
Then if you come for the screen, you will see my marriage picture with her. Then if you come for the savings background, you see my wife picture. Because now she I get now value and all.
Hey! Sister, I greet you. Let me smart you know. I want to know which name your husband they call you for house.
Now my name now. Now my name. I be baby. I be small pikin.
Come on. Okay, you not be honey. You not be honey.
I be honey when they leak. My name is the hard to pronounce. Now my name, oh.
Okay, what do they call your husband for us?
Now my love.
Hey! Now your love. Which name? How you test in name for your phone?
May I show you?
Show me.
You want to see?
Not be Papa Chukudi, you test on
no,
so.
No, you Papa Chukudi to start my husband name. In a vacuum. See what I test in name for here.
Hey, my prince.
Hey! Yeah, so I get my working place. What do you wait they happen today? What do you
okay, what do you they call your husband? What do you they call your husband?
Now my honey.
Your honey?
Confirm.
Okay, when you dey happy, you feel called darling, sweetheart, or honey. But when you are not happy, or when it don't make you sad, you feel called Papa or Sas or help Papa.
Okay, like you know, what do you test your husband name?
Now that's it now.
Hi, Oga.
You dey fine.
Mommy, I beg the truth and nothing but the truth. Which name you they call Oga for us?
Ero Sayuki.
This was said Ero Sayuki, Papa Sayuki, and they call him. Okay, what did Papa Sayuki they call you?
Ero Sayuki.
You know they call you mommy?
No.
You know they call you honey? You know they call you dear?
No.
You know they call you darling?
Now old school with you.
Now old school.
Okay, let's get the conversation on the road. Money, Assistant Secretary, Nigerian Union of Teachers in Edo State. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Appreciate it.
Point of correction, I'm an Assistant Secretary General.
Okay, Assistant Secretary General. Okay, that's correction taken. Okay, again, we appreciate you for coming. Thank you so much. Reverend Canon Timothy Udao is an expert in education, especially where it has to do with vocational and technical education. He has been here severally to talk about how we can raise our game regarding technical and vocational education in this country, drawing examples, for instance, from other countries like England. Thank you again for coming this morning.
Thank you.
They have been very from the conversation you had with Sunny Duke on Monday on radio. We thought we could draw on that and also expand the narrative this morning on television, gentlemen. But I want us to look at first the state of teaching in Nigeria as of today. When you hear people who have seen both sides of the coin, by that I mean people who had maybe been to universities in the 70s, maybe in the late 60s, for instance, and then they try to juxtapose what existed then and what we have today. And then you hear them say the standards of education have fallen in Nigeria. For much younger persons like myself, we can't place a finger on what exactly that means. So I want you to help us make sense of that, Reverend Ighodaro.
I want to say that the standard of education has not fallen, okay, but the standard of discipline has fallen.
So there's a difference between
There's a difference between the two. So that is why, as I was discussing the other day, some of the things I learned in the university is what they are learning today in the senior secondary school. Is what they are learning today in the technical colleges. We didn't do it when we were in secondary school because it was added as an advanced level program. But today we are adding it to that of the senior and the technical colleges. That's what they are doing. You get what I'm saying? Before this time, we have trade center. For science, you are taking carpentry now. You will take carpentry, you take joinery, you take woodwork. That's all. But today, you are going to take physics, chemistry, mathematics, English, take carpentry, joinery, take woodwork, take literature, and take economics. You see that the standard of education is rising, but the discipline that accompanies it is what has fallen. So we have allowed ourselves we have allowed our teachers to make mistakes. And when those teachers
who do you refer to as we now? Government or the people?
Yes, I mean the society.
Okay.
The society allowed the teachers to make mistakes. And when they created that mistake for the teacher, as I said earlier, when a teacher makes a mistake, nobody dies immediately. But children yet unborn are going to suffer from that mistake.
Are we suffering from such a mistake?
That's what we are seeing now. Indiscipline, you are seeing in social media. The student will be telling his teacher, I can pay your salary. What are you doing? Open the gate and let me come in. Whether I'm late or not, it doesn't matter. Everything goes. So we have heard it. You have also seen the other day where a parent led a mob into the school to beat up a teacher. In those days, it's unheard of. A teacher is reverend. That's why they wear short knicker and put barrel in their pocket. No money, we know. But wherever they go, there's reverence. They say this one spreads knowledge. This one is informed. This one is the one that is learned. A teacher is learned. He has gone through schools. He has gone through society. He's blended them. A teacher will take what is wrong in the society, take it to the school, correct it, and send it back to the community. And the community will rejoice. That is their work. So because of that, the standard of education has not fallen. It is growing. What people are learning today are very. When we are in the university, we study classical mechanics. But today, they are studying classical mechanics. They are also studying what we call the science of the small. They have added it because of what? Semiconductor devices. You know, you have smartphones and everything now. It's because of semiconductor. The movement of those electrons within those semiconductors cannot be explained by classical mechanics. So knowledge is growing. As a result, education is growing. But the discipline associated with it, it is an iron. It is a serious problem to engage in exam malpractice in those days. But today, it's being tolerated. So many governments are tolerating, many institutions are tolerating it. If they don't provide it, they provide way for it. So if you begin to look at what is now responsible for exam malpractice, it's not only because children copy in class. Whatever happens, whether omission or commission, what you're supposed to do, you did not do, that now later turn around to encourage exam malpractice, that person has committed exam malpractice.
I'm going to allow you to catch your breath quickly, but let's just remind our viewers that we'll make it interactive for you in a moment when we open our phone line, so you can call in and then also lend your voice to this discussion we're having on the program this morning. But please remember, it's not political, it's not partisan either, all right? So when you call, stay with the issues. We're talking about teaching and teachers in Nigeria, especially in light of this approval by the president for new teacher salary and then years of service for them as well. Let me turn to you now, Morning Mike Modesty. If we say education is getting better, like Reverend just talked about education, getting better, knowledge increasing, even though there's a problem with discipline, can we say same of teachers? Can we say that teachers are getting better by the day? Because some persons are now saying that these approvals by the president signal a change for the better for teachers in Nigeria. How much of truth do we have in that?
Well, let me first and foremost concur with what Reverend Iwunara has just said. Most times we tend to mix standard with quality.
Yeah, are they two different things?
They are two different things. The standard has always remained upwards. It has been moving. It has been moving. If you listen to him very well by the examples he has made, like when between primary 1 to primary 6, we were not doing more than 6 subjects. Then, but I can tell you, as we speak, children in primary 1 to primary 6 today, they do as many as up to 12, 15 subjects. We never knew what computer meant then. A lot of things. Ours was reading, writing, and arithmetics, the area of concentration. But today, it's no longer so. Standard is increasing. For instance, let's come back to Edo State, for instance. Our teachers are all digital teachers now, so to speak, in the basic education. Virtually all of them are digital. They are no longer analog teachers. Standard is increasing. Our children are now learning through the use of technology. Standard is increasing, but quality is dropping. Quality is not matching the rising standards. And the drop in quality is as a result of many factors. Teachers' welfare and condition of service, terribly poor. Our school system. People paying more attention to those, even parents, aiding and abetting children to cheat in exams. Or a child that's supposed to be in primary 1, because your neighbor's child is in primary 2. You move the child to be in primary 2. Because mental age and chronological age, they are very, very useful in the issue of education. For instance, when teachers are to be paid salaries, their own salaries for 6-7 months, you want them to go and use their blood to teach the children, quality will definitely go. The zeal to bring in their best into it will not be there. No matter the standard you are setting, then attaining the objectives and the aims will be defeated. So let me say, there's a difference between standard and quality. So the issue of Mr. President's approval, yes, right step in the right direction. You say those days, our parents will say this and that. That was those days. Those days, teaching was of the highest importance to the society. And don't also forget, the population was very small, very tiny population. But the quality of teachers and all factors put together, infrastructure, measuring, every other thing you need to measure in the education system, they were virtually close to 100% present. And the teacher was the pride in any community. The teacher is the only worker, teachers are the only workers you can find in any area, in any geographical location in Nigeria, whether inside the river. They are present. If you go to Ilaja, those are coastal communities, you meet teachers there, they are there. The only set of workers you can find anywhere, even in hamlets. If the school is established in Sabisa Forest, then the teachers are bound to be there. They can't say no. So Mr. President has taught it wise through the almost 2-decade fight of the Nigerian Union of Teachers on means and ways of improving the education sector. Because once you get education right, every other thing will be right. Even the issue of corruption can be killed by a good quality standardized educational system. The issue of corruption can be nipped. Because once a teacher makes a mistake, it's forever. You can't correct it. Corrections can only be done when it is quickly identified and another teacher comes to correct it. So what the president is aiming at is to ensure that we have the best quality of teachers. We have the best quality of environment. We have the best quality of infrastructure. We have those things that will be in place that will make the teachers, through thick and thin, to be present to do their job without looking for transfer from villages to the city. What is obtainable in Benin City should be what is obtainable in Zamfara. What is paid as salary in Lagos should be what is paid both in Maiduguri. Terms and conditions of service the same. A teacher who wants to relocate from Edo State to Benin Kebbi can do so. Uniformity. So once that is established, I'm telling you, every other problem we are having
we will start solving them.
The president raised specific issues with this approval. For example, he talked about low-cost housing for teachers by way of also encouraging them. But we've seen and heard about low-cost housing schemes for teachers over time. Yeah. What makes this one peculiar?
Why this one is peculiar? Because there's a direction this thing is going to. You know, education is on the concurrent legislation.
Of course.
List. The statements being made, or the policy statement that has been made, seems to be an omnibus something. And like I said on the 5th of October here, that we are looking towards a system where the National Assembly will work in collaboration with Mr. President to pull off issues of welfare and condition of service of teachers nationwide from the concurrent legislative list.
Okay.
That's the direction we are going. My presence here on the 5th, if you go back to roll the tape, you discover that most of the things I said that day, God answered our prayer, and Mr. President brought them to the fore. Yeah. And he gave his blessings. Because my union has been working through the day and night with the National Assembly, with the executive, especially with the Ministry of Education, and some other very important government agencies and others. The bill for this type of pronouncement was already passed by the National Assembly, courtesy the effort of the Nigerian Union of Teachers. But the death of Abba Kyari, the Chief of Staff, kind of stalled the presidential assent. And I can tell you, that bill will find its way back and will have speedy passage, because the length of time required by the law for assent or decline has passed. But I'm telling you now, that thing is coming back to the National Assembly and is going to receive speedy passage, both by the Senate and the House of Representatives. It is time to get it right. In Germany, just many countries of the world, this is where they put their priorities.
Education.
Yes, and the president, God has blessed us with a very good minister. Minister Adamu Adamu has been so wonderful. I am telling you now, there has never been any projection or any proposal made by Nigerian Union of Teachers for the interest of education in Nigeria that he has never brought it to. Not even one. So what you are seeing now are issues jointly articulated by Nigerian Union of Teachers and the Federal Ministry of Education. When we went for defense during that bill, the Federal Ministry of Education, in fact, the first time in history that all stakeholders, even up to the National Assembly Committees on Education, everybody agreed in unison to say, yes, this is doable, and this is what we will do. And that bill didn't waste time in the National Assembly. It was passed. So if all parties are aware, for instance, teachers now are to have their children in their schools.
But is that feasible?
Yes, it's feasible. Let me tell you, why can politicians have their children in our public schools? We are looking forward to a situation when this one is established. A constitutional amendment can be made that all political office holders in Nigeria must have their children
in public schools.
Mr. President has taken a very giant step. And if we as people who are saying we want a better condition of service, Mr. President has given it, why must we not have our children? It must be leadership by example. Our children must be the first to be present in our schools. So that we must have that comprehensive and total commitment to doing our jobs. No excuses. So we are waiting that maybe between now and the month ending, the circulars should start coming out. But because it's a concurrent matter, Mr. President has also directed the minister to liaise with the National Economic and Wages Commission, liaise with the state governments and local government councils. Because resources will be huge as far as implementing this is concerned. And we are advocating. Let us not start talking about domestication here and there. Let it be a national law. And when the state law is at conflict with national law, the national law takes precedence. But all parties must agree for the spirit and zeal of Mr. President to pass through in this matter.
Okay, we're going to put a number on the screen for you now so you can start calling in and make your contribution to this discussion we're having about the new approval made by the President for teachers in Nigeria. We'll put that number on the screen for you shortly. But let me come back to Reverend Ighodaro now. Still looking at the approval by the President, where he talked specifically about special pension scheme for teachers. Of course, we understand that teachers are already part of some sort of contributory pension scheme. What is the uniqueness about this particular pension scheme that the President mentioned?
That what he's trying to say is that there will be a particular scheme properly crafted for the welfare of teachers, just like the contributory pension, although that one still has its flaw. It has its flaw, very great flaw in that. But if those flaws are removed, and every teacher contributes his own quota, and their employer contribute his own quota as and when due, and then the pension fund administrator administer that fund very well. When the teacher will require, and is giving 50% of his contribution, while the remaining 50% is to be administered by the pension fund monthly to the teacher. The teacher will go about and spend the rest of his days on earth better than his beginning. Their end will be better than their beginning. So this is what we call discipline. If discipline is not allowed to thrive, this same thing will be rubbish. We have seen pension scheme being rubbish. We have seen people writing, even in contributing pension, writing to them that we have discovered that there's an error. We have decided to reduce the contribution that you have made without no reason. We don't know why it is so. So when the president said this thing, I was very glad. Let there be a law. And as I tell you, when a law comes, you see these people, they will work on that law and see the flaw in that law and exploit it. But the watchguard, that is the Justice Department, they will also look at it again, recraft it, send it to National Assembly, and we call it what? Amendment. So with that amendment in place, nobody can be able to tamper with teachers' pension scheme.
There's a set of teachers I want you to talk about.
Yes.
We have seen some people come out to protest saying they are teachers, but they want their engagement regularized. They want to be offered formal employment by the government.
Yes.
What category of teachers are those?
You know, when this, I think it should be this Empower scheme, they now employ some people to be teaching. They were not fully employed. They were for a period, a contract period, in which they are going to do this work. So some of them, after many months, or let's say a year of doing this job, and they have been doing it well, so they are now wanting government to engage them.
But some of them came out one time and said they were under State Universal Education Board,
Yes.
dispersed across local government councils, for instance.
It's this scheme that I'm talking about now. They are not full teachers.
Okay.
Because when you begin to because their employment is not pensionable.
Obviously.
So it's not pensionable. So after a period, you just they disengage you. But what they were wanting to do is that for them to be engaged, not only so that their employment become pensionable. So they follow the civil service rules and regulations in conducting their activities. Then two, they will have the opportunity to rise to the top. In any organization in which you are a key pillar and you cannot rise to the top, it is very demoralizing.
Right.
So with that nature, they can't rise to the top. And for them.
Okay, let's start taking calls quickly now before I get back to Morning Mike Modesty. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good to have you on the program. Your name and location quickly.
Yes, Governor.
What's your contribution? Please turn down the audio on your TV.
Our president said all that students should go to school in Nigeria. All that students should go to school in Nigeria. The students are not going to school in Nigeria. That's what I want to ask.
Okay. I'm sure Morning Mike Modesty already attended to that in passing when he talked about how that this whole thing is in phases. We'll get to the point where we also will have to put in place a legal framework in such a way that politicians, especially those who hold elective offices, will be compelled under the law to ensure their children also are in school, in public schools. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, please, let's just be sure we turn down the audio before we make those calls, otherwise we can have smooth. Yes, welcome to TMI. Hello, good morning. Okay, I'm sure network is being nasty this morning, but hopefully we'll get around it somehow. But just before okay, let's take a few more calls and see how we can get around this one. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, tell me your name and your location.
My name is Favor.
Okay, Favor, you are not a teacher, are you?
Huh?
Are you a teacher?
Yeah.
Where do you teach?
I teach APK primary school.
Okay, that's where you attend, that's not where you teach. Okay, I'm sure your parents should be the ones making that call. You mentioned funding a while ago. I mean, this whole scheme, this whole announcement by the president will cost an arm and a leg, as they say. Some persons have raised the issue. I mean, in The Guardian yesterday, for example, there was an issue being raised already about how the government will be able to jack up the fund that this whole initiative requires. Does that give the NUT a concern, for example?
Well, funding, as far as we are concerned, while we were pursuing this, matter that the president has finally given the go-ahead to, we also suggested the means of funding.
Okay.
We did.
Did the federal government buy into that?
Well, I'm telling you, all these things will come to pass. You heard when the minister was saying that the Education Trust Fund has been told to sponsor teaching practice.
Right.
The issue of bursary to students studying education and others, they will be coming. Our own position is that the issue of primary and secondary education, if possible, are technical education. Because that is what is driving the engine all over the world.
Technical education.
Technical education must be taken as a national issue. And by that, it means everything about this particular aspect of education must be the responsibility of the consolidated revenue account. Many people are graduating from school, no job. So pick the issues of welfare and condition of service, even infrastructure. Pick such issues from the consolidated federal revenue account before you contemplate any issue of disbursements of allocation to any state or local government. And once that is done, these issues you are talking about, and they will fizzle out naturally. They will fizzle out. We cannot sit and say in Zamfara, in a school where you have up to 500 children, you are having only 2 teachers. You won't have it again. Teachers will be, when I say teachers, qualified, interested persons who really have teaching will be recruited.
Not just because it's necessary to have a job.
No. The screening process will be tough. Not just necessarily because you have a first degree in education. You think you just jump and you will pass through the Teachers Registration Council. You will pass through written tests. Because competence will be the watchword. You recall when there was this issue of TC2 and others. Right. I'm telling you, some people will write TC2 final exam 3, 4, 5 good times until you get it right. They don't give it to you. That is the reason behind the success of the past. When you see TC2 teachers were performing very far better than those who came from other higher institutions who didn't get the grand knowledge of the TC2 teacher.
The background.
So, we must be enhanced. The mechanisms must be put in place. President wants the best brains in Nigeria to come into teaching. That is the essence of this.
Some projection is now saying that Nigeria requires about 800,000 teachers to cover.
More than that.
Let's say for the purpose of this conversation,
yes,
we're doing 800,000.
Yeah.
Does this announcement cover recruitment of teachers?
Yes, it's going to. Mr. President has also ordered that continuous recruitment, all those who are graduating from universities under education should be turned into the teaching profession. Not that they are going to have an open license to just fly in there. Okay. There are still going to be some hurdles to cross. We have tens of millions of professional teachers in Nigeria today who are not gainfully employed. They are still struggling under 10,000 naira in private schools, 15,000 naira in private schools. All these ones are in the labor market. They need to be brought in, trained and retrained in the modern acts of teaching and get them into the system. You saw what the governor of Edo State mentioned on the 5th, that 3 years training program is going to be organized. While you are undergoing that training, there is a way they are going to be giving you stipends. And once you are through with that training, then you get into the teaching service. That is a grooming period, a waiting period to be groomed. So that is the state government's disposition.
Right.
But we need to have a national disposition agreed and arranged by both the federal, the state, and the local governments.
Let's see if we can take a call quickly now. Hello, good morning. Yes, welcome to TMI. Let me have your name and location and then go ahead to make a contribution. Hello? Yes, we can hear you all right. Go ahead, go ahead. But you have to turn down the audio on your TV set first. Okay, I'm sure that gentleman hasn't done that. Until he does that, there's no way we can have a discussion. Hello, good morning. Yes, welcome to TMI.
Yeah, my name is Sunday.
Okay, Sunday, go ahead.
I'm calling from Kaduna.
We can hear you all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to lay emphasis on what the man in the middle is saying. Yeah, he's speaking about, yeah, I quite agree with him in terms of enhancing teachers, yes. But the issue of hammering on what the president, I want to remind him that this government is so good at audios. They will come to the media and tell you this, and after the media, they will do the opposite. Please, you should stop hammering on Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. It doesn't keep his word. Simple. Thank you.
Okay, he's saying this government has a reputation for audio.
Let me quickly answer him. We must not continue to live in the past.
Okay.
The proclamation of Mr. President through the Minister of Education were all articulated before now. It's an outcome of decisions, dialogue, communications that have existed for close to 15 years now, where they have now ended up dotting the I's and crossing the T's before the pronouncement came out. I want to assure you, it's not going to be business as usual. This particular issue you are seeing, if you know what is involved in it, you will have a rating. Please have a rating on this matter. Okay. Because you will see it, the taste of the pudding will be in the eating. Hello, the Nigerian Union of Teachers and teachers in Nigeria will not fold their arms. And we know, Mr. President, before he made this pronouncement, we already knew what was going to happen.
Hello, good morning.
Those things are going to happen.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Are you still there? Okay, I'm sure that caller isn't ready to come through to make a contribution this morning, but please just remember that you have to turn on the audio on your TV sets. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, that lady wanted to speak up, but I just want us to get as many contributions from you as possible to make it interactive this morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, hopefully we can do a few more calls just before we tie it up on the show this morning. Hello, good morning. Yeah, welcome to TMI. Hello, good morning and welcome to TMI. Okay, let me talk to Reverend Godaro again about all of these issues. You look at Nigeria today, you realize that you talked about quality earlier, try to juxtapose it with standards, right? But again, interest in education overall is waning. Does this announcement correct this reality?
It is, you know why? You see, in the taxonomy of education, you talk of what we call cognitive, you talk of psychomotor. At the middle is the affective domain. That affective domain, at the height of the affective domain is characterization, character. So when that area is watered down, then what now drives the other two? Nothing. So they also will go down. You are a journalist today because you have interest in journalism. If that drive is not there, which is the affective domain, you will not be here now. Probably you would have left long time ago. So that interest is what we are trying to sustain now. For the teachers to come back again to their former level, the mistake that was made should be corrected, and a new drive, a new vision will be open unto them so that they'll be able to carry all our children. Remember, the kind of children we have now is different from the one we used to have.
Why? Because of internet? Internet
is there. They are becoming bolder and are asking questions which we do not ask our parents. Some even my he sees me coming. You say, Reverend, welcome. Now I'm his father. I said that to my father in those days. I will not say that, but I'm happy he's telling me that because in everything you cannot have 100% gain. Right. He's not involved in all those shabby works. So I'm happy. So, but the children are becoming bold. In those days, basket. We don't have children say, open it, we want to see what is inside. So the teacher have a lot of work to do in order to be able to contain this bottleneck energy of this student. If he doesn't upgrade himself, he will be outdated. That's what my friend was saying just now. There will be what we call CPD for continuous professional development. And as they also talk of competency, as of today in Nigeria, develop at various levels national skill qualification framework. This national skill qualification framework was launched by the Minister of Education, Adamu, in February 2018. Members of the National Assembly in both houses that were in the Committee for Education, they were present. But do you know up till now, there is no legislation to establish the National Skill Qualification Framework, except an executive order, that means National Federal Executive Council that approved it. That is what the National Board for Technical Education is using to drive the process. So,
is that enough?
It's not enough. There must be a legislation, as we are saying about this teacher's salary. Once that legislation is passed, and before it is passed, at the time NUT worked on it, and as of today, the changes have taken place. They must look at it again. What are the incremental steps? Are they robust? So that, because what we observe during our time is that a teacher can be on one grade level for 7 years, for 8 years. He will come to the bar of the incremental step. So he begin to earn the same salary throughout the year, day in, day out. No, those is frustrating. But when these incremental steps are robust, and when at the end of the year you are not promoted, you are not given an incremental step, it will look like promotion for you, so that you still have something to rest upon and continue to do your work. So that is the area we are looking at. Then two,
just a minute, Reverend. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Austin. Calling from.
Austin from where?
Zaria.
Okay, go ahead and talk to us.
Yeah, what I'm saying is just like what the religious man is speaking, is talking about interest. Yes, I quite agree with him.
You mean the clergyman, not the religious man, the clergyman, right?
Okay, clergy, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry.
No second, no problems.
And what I'm saying in essence is the interest, this government, the clergyman, okay, the interest of education has been shattered. It has been killed by this government. For my own interest, for my own view, they don't know the meaning or what it takes to be educated. Because if they do, the measures they are using, the measures they are using is not home to write about.
But before this government, sorry, hold on a second. Hold on a second, Austin. Austin, hold on a second. Before this government came on board, people had always talked about how that there was so much of trouble in the education sector of this country. So it's not something that happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. It's been a long time coming. I think the consolation we're finding now is there appears to be an intervention for the better. Isn't that the conversation we should be having, don't you think?
Yeah, what I'm saying in essence is at least we need to know the important and what causes the less interest in education. It's still the same thing we're talking about. What I'm saying in essence is at least in the past government, they know what education is all about. The facilities, the interest, there are more interest in education in previous government than now. Because what I'm saying in essence is people who are going to, who the less interest in education, because after you schooling, you will be less, you have less interest because you don't even know how maybe the job employment, how you're going to, people have less. I'm telling you, even in the employment aspect, people have less interest.
But unemployment in this country has a history to it, so it's not just specific to this government, is it?
I'm speaking from what I see. Okay, what about the employment rate? The employment rate, the employment, if you don't have a friend or a brother, you won't have a job, even if you are more qualified than the person.
Okay, I'm sure we lost the call from Austin there from Zaria in Kaduna State. Austin is making a point, a case for how that the ratio between